part of the entire program, especially the keynote address, the keynote speaker's speech, and of course, the contribution that will be made by the panelists. So while we are pressed to commence the program, I want to crave your indulgence that we might be kicking off um, a bit behind schedule. So I would hand the microphone back to my Lord so that we can get started. So that those who are not here at the College of Panelists that should have been here will not have missed so much, I guess, so that we can bring our keynote speaker to the podium and the program can start. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I would be respectfully handing the microphone over to the chairman of today's event. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My Lord.
Well, I've just conferred with the MC and he's truly begging for time for us to wait. Usually, I don't like waiting. I like to stick to time. But
He became the area commander Ota, area command, Songo Ota, Ogun State, where he led impactful policing initiative and strengthened community trust. With his promotion to deputy commissioner of 2018, he was deployed to the Maritime Command, Lagos, and later to Zone 2 headquarters. Posted as Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the State's Criminal Investigation Department, SCID Kpanti Yaba, where he provided exemplary leadership in investigative policing. His steady rise continued when he became Commissioner of Police in charge of Armament Force Headquarters. He recorded another milestone when he assumed office as the 39th Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, with renewed vigor and strengthened the state's internal security architecture. With an established record of policing, he was elevated to the prestigious rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police and posted as the 32nd AIG in charge of Zone 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AIG Fayoade. The program will start now as I hand the microphone over to our own, His Lordship, Honorable Justice Fadipe, in furtherance of the program. Thank you.
thank you all for your patience. So the keynote speaker, Professor Commodore or Commodore Professor, as you please, Kunle Olawumi, please, we invite you to take the podium and deliver your keynote speech today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir. I would like to start on the system protocol because of our time. But I must remark about my amiable chairman, who I'm very already we become friends because she's very acquainted with some of my colleagues in the military. Just mention General Olawumi, who was my colleagues in National Defense College. And I'm sure after this program, we're going to interact further. So I want to mention your presence and to acknowledge your presence here. Also, I'd like to go now to the chairman of this program. That's my brother, Quadri. I acknowledge you. Also, the chairman of this program, the person that actually chaired this symposium, who is also the vice chairman of this unit. Please, a round of applause for her. What it takes to organize something like this is a lot of work. And he actually got a very good PR guy who has he has been fantastic, ensuring that that I'm also comfortable I'm staying. I must mention Professor Okunemano, who we have met briefly this morning, and I'm sure we're going to work together, maybe from here. Another panelist, Mr. Zeburo, I must mention you. You are welcome. And other members of this Human Rights Commission and the representative of the AIG. You are welcome, sir. When I was asked to come here, I actually hesitated a bit, but they called me in the university in Delta, and they were calling me frantically that, oh, some MBA guys want to talk to me. And then immediately what came to my mind was that maybe I have a suit already. So I told the registrar in Delta, please don't give them my number. And he said, no, it's like, it's a woman that she's very, we want to talk to you. And I said, okay, whatever happened, even if I avoid them, they get to me. So I said, okay, give them my number. So, and I was called. This is a very serious time. Next slide, please. Over my slide from here could have been more convenient. Why am I putting on this slide? Madam just asked me, who am I? I don't even know who I am. I really don't know who I am. So the PRO also asked me, please, can you send us your CV so that we can? And I said, just go on the internet and get whatever you can, because I don't know who I am. So about 1 a.m. this morning, I started thinking, I said, what? So I asked ChatGPT Pro, I said, please, who am I? And this is what he said. This. He said, Kunola means an intellectual for research and also. And I look at it, I said, is this me? Is this me? I said, can you be more brief? It's too long. Then he said this one again, the second one. Um, I would rather, madam, I think I would rather want to be the second one. Because I'm not very comfortable be called Commodore anymore, because that's a title. I think I'm more comfortable being called professor. Last year, I was given an award for whistleblowing, and that is the genesis of whatever you are seeing in this country today. When I came out in 2021, when Buhari was to his face, that you are the one sponsoring. Don't you think so? I was declared wanted in the country. And that's why MBA is my friend, because when I was sure you all know Mr. Falana and said, allow me, we go together, let's go. And I call him a sage. I call him an enigma, a hero of our time. Gani Fawemi. start this lecture by quoting him. I will come back to Falana later. It's not here. I've been looking around for him. I want to start with what Gani Farin said. And this just captured the entire theme. It's a symposium. He said, in a country where injustice thrives, insecurity is inevitable. I can as well just say this, madam, and walk away because that's the end of the lecture. Because this play captured, beyond synopsis, I mean, this captured the essence of this lecture. In a country where injustice thrives, insecurity is inevitable. So without justice, there cannot be security. So these are the two variables that we need to look at. And he believes that the prevailing injustice and lack of rule of law in the country are directly linked to instability and insecurity. So nobody could have said it better than the chief himself, Chief Gani Fawehinmi. And a round of applause for him posthumously because his voice is still resonating in this country. Next slide, please. I'm not going to deliberate too much on this slide than to say that the way this is, we have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us. The saddest thing that can happen to you when you are betrayed is when you are betrayed by your own brother, your own kin. I was on Channels TV this year. That was a very serious issue that happened with the Fulani is trying to remove something from the Constitution. They call it, they want to remove something personal. I was making jest of them. Personal. They want to remove it from the Constitution. And Chamberlain called me and said, Commodore, will you be available to speak to us on this? I said, what is it this time around? He said, they're trying to tinker with the Constitution. I want your view. And I asked him, why are you people calling me after 3 years? The last time I came to your station, you guys, you were arrested, but I declared me wanted. You guys ran away from me. Why are you calling me again? I said, no, this one is very important because it's a I did my research with the NFIU, Financial Intelligence Unit, and I discovered that some banks were set up when Buhari was there to sponsor and to launder money as Buhari set up these banks. And my brother, the SAN, sued me for 5 billion. Where will I get 5 billion? I've never seen 5 billion before. So I'm not going to go too deep, but at the end of this lecture, I think I'll talk to welcome my friend, Showore. Good to see you. Yeah, my friend, we are going to have a good time today together. So he sued me for 5 billion, and I can be very troublesome with when it comes. I don't make trouble with colleagues. I make trouble with government. So when he started this thing, I did my research again. I went to the Department of State. I talked to the Americans, and I discovered he's hiding somewhere in the US, and he was writing me a letter. And I said, okay, instead of me to fight him, I will report him to Tinubu himself. Because he's a Tinubu lawyer. I'm sure you guys know him. And this case was brought down. But I'm up to date so that we should not be collecting money from terrorists to sue people like Showore, my friend here, or myself. Lawyers, people in your profession should stop collecting money that people pay as ransom. Then you collect it to sue us to court. I'm waiting for him to sue me again. And if you ask me a question, I will tell you more about who is working for, money, and so on. We don't play, we don't joke. Okay? Because this country is more important. When I spoke to Buhari, I know that they called me. And I said the country is more important than Buhari. And he is dead now. Tinubu is there now. He will also leave. But we will get there. So, next slide. So, I'm asking the, due respect, madam, I'm asking for, in case maybe I will say something here. I don't want you people to write me. I don't like seeing those letters, when they come. So, I'm requesting for immunity because I'm going to be a little bit hard on the topic. Life is very important. Next slide. I'm going to start with justice and equity. This is where I want to. The pedagogy I'm trying to use is like a mixed method. What is justice? What is equity? I shouldn't be teaching this class because you are the experts in the subject. But I look at when wrongs are corrected and power restrained by law. This is very fundamental to me. Justice is structured pursuit of what people are due. Justice demands rules. One, wrongs corrected, power restrained by law. Equity demands understanding. A character later. A stable society needs both. In other words, you need justice and you need equity. So justice sets the standards while equity corrects the terrain on which arrange presidential things and so on, because we're just going to talk more about that. Why justice is the societal commitment to fairness, ethical treatment does not always yield fairness. Equity adjusts for historical burdens, structural imbalances. These are my words. Next slide. I'm going to move a little fast because we're going to end. So this is the background to the studies. I mean, we are looking at the right to life and security. This is not rhetorical. We're not here to speak. We are talking seriously about life, When life is gone, you can't take it back. There's nothing you can do to recover it. So we want to know whether Nigeria how can we transform what we are saying, right to security, from the theoretical premise that we all know to something that is enforceable. How can we do that? And this is very important because we have not been doing that. How can we do that? So during the plenary, I think we may have to discuss further. So next slide, please. Framing human rights means little without effective state protection. You cannot enjoy education, political participation, religious freedom. They have decided to discuss only. I know when you talk about human rights, is vast, but because of our time, I've limited it to the right to life and duty of the state. The impact of insecurity became around. The third one is political freedom. If I have my way, if I have magic, I'll just make sure I should to be the president of Nigeria. Just announce. But when you look at the condition of political freedom in Nigeria, so what happened to Adeleke in Osun yesterday or the day before yesterday? It's an abnormality. It's disgusting. whoever is doing that. Third world, below third countries, like a banana, a republic, just look at an executive go down and just, mess him up. So these are that's why I'm making this the third point. And as I said, I'm not a tribalist. I don't care if his wife's not doing well. I will say it. It doesn't matter. When Buhari, who is a Fulani, was not doing well, say it. And the last one, which is so important, is the freedom of religion and the reality of this mass killing that we are seeing. Next slide. Now, look at I shouldn't do this because I'm talking to experts, but I tried to pretend. You can see like a lawyer too. So, sacred. Look at section 33. What it says, no one shall be intentionally deprived of life except under conditions established by law. But look at what the Janjaweeds, look at what they are doing in the country. It's like a movie. It's like I'm dreaming. Look at what the constitution. And we have a president, a commander-in-chief, and he's watching. People are running from like it's a movie that's not real. So if the constitution is there and we can't defend this constitution, then I don't think we have business. For the past 10 years, we've not been doing that. I was hopeful when Tinubu was, I thought things would be different, but it has not changed. So you can see the statistics, 1,000 violent deaths, 90,000. If you kill one American, one of their own. Some people think it's a movie. That is not true. It is true. And they spent about $1 billion. I spoke to my friends. How did he do it? Now look at, we have a president also, a commander-in-chief. And look at 90,000. If you're not alarmed, I am. If you're not ashamed, I'm ashamed. Now, look at 6,600 Nigerians were killed by and it becomes normal. Nigeria remains the worst affected country by terrorism. I don't think this is something that is provide. What should they do? I'm not going to waste time on this slide because they know what to do. Madam just mentioned General Laumi, and I told him about General Laumi that he's one of the most brilliant general I've come across. There's General Duloju. There are so many officers, even just General Aliu, who worked with me at Defense. We have brilliant. Don't think military just wear uniform and cock and fire. We have very brilliant officers. And if I now want to tell them this is what they should do, it's like I'm wasting your time here. They know exactly what to do. The problem is that our politicians don't do it. You cannot go. Somebody call our soldiers to withdraw from their posts so that the terrorists can go and capture children. So this is the problem. It's not this one. So I don't want to, next slide, don't waste time too much, but I'm going to make the slides available for you. Insecurity and right to education. You are clapping. Don't worry, I'll make it available to you. No. Insecurity and right to education. As I said, there's no way you can remove education issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Most of the Almajiris have been breeding for the past 60 years at the Boko Haram you are seeing today. So they are doing since 2014, and we are looking. You can see nearly 1.3 million children are losing within age 6 to 15. Canada, China, with their population, and check Singapore with their population and see the percentage of education, those that were educated, those that are literate. If you go to Denmark, literacy rate, then we have Tinubu there. So I know this is not a political forum. What happened? But why am I trying to say this? Is because in politics, if you have good representatives, there's that tendency that security will be a thing of the past. So maybe later you come and sit very close. Yeah, I've been joking. This is where I'm going to become serious. No, the issue of religion. Freedom of thoughts, conscience, and religion. Section 38 of the Constitution protects freedom of thoughts, conscience, and religion. Yet, Nigeria continues to experience widespread religiously motivated attack. More than 50,000 Christian deaths between 2009 and 2023. Over 18,000 churches attacked or destroyed. International Watch constantly ranked Nigeria among the worst countries for religious killings. So this is not merely a security issue, it is a constitutional emergency. And I'm here. The bar, the bench should actually rise up. When houses of worship becomes a battleground where you will see all this, I mean, when I see them, I mean, I just feel I should have a magic wand to just catch them, then just, do something to them. Because just enter church, people are praying in the church, then you enter church and start shooting them. In this country, and the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, is comfortable. It's comfortable. I don't understand. So now, this is the key point, the center of gravity of this lecture. Look at the board. The grand norm, the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Section 10 is actually mentioned issue of secularity. So I want to ask my audience, is Nigeria a secular state? On paper. Reality. Somebody say yes. Yeah, maybe we don't understand the grand norm. When you have a constitution and the constitution states that you are a secular state, and the same constitution, the secularity question, he said the governor of the federation or a state shall not adopt any state religion. That's what the constitution said. I didn't say it. And you can check. This is what he says. The governor of the federation, that's Tinubu, or governor of a state, like Zamfara State, shall not adopt any state religion. That's what the Constitution said. And this Fulani will keep on flouting the Constitution, destroying the country, and we will be afraid to talk to them. How many times will you die? How many times? Why are you afraid to talk to them? They are flouting the Bible. The Constitution is our Bible, it's our Quran. He said the governor of the federation or a state shall not adopt any state religion. Then, unknown to some of you, I'm sure Showore will know, between Abacha time and Abdul Salami time, they did what? They tinker with it. They introduced Sharia in the Constitution 73 times. Islam is mentioned in that same Constitution 20 times. Grand Qadi of Islam, 54 times. Muslim, about 10 times. Some of you can do for that. I think it's about 10 times when I check, because I have to count one by one. Christ, church, Christianity, 0 times. So we develop a league, like this football league, like European league. In our Constitution of the Federal Republic League, Islam, 165. Christian, 0. Please clap for them. Yeah, clap for them. Islam, 165 in your Constitution. And we are all here. We are lawyers. I'm disturbed. One Christian or any other religion, Isheshe, traditional religion, 0. They also have the audacity to come to the House of Assembly. They have the audacity to come and say that they want to remove the only thing that is helping some of us. The only thing that is in this Constitution that is making us not to be Islamized completely, that the Sharia is written in the Constitution. They now said, now we want to remove that personal. And that is why this lawyer, who is a Yoruba boy, who has a family in Lagos, who has office in Lagos, is suing me for 5 billion. His people, his family, unborn children. He, a Yoruba man, is suing me, collecting money from terrorists and suing me. Because I'm trying to rescue children. What do I gain? What do I lose? Why should you collect money from terrorists and sue your brother? That is betrayal. And the punishment, especially in Russia, is death. Don't betray your brothers, okay? Don't go and collect money from Fulani and come and sue me. So this is the story of why there's killing in Nigeria today. The Constitution permits them. And as I was saying, when Abacha and Abdul Salam did this, Obasanjo was brought up from prison because he brought to the east. I was in Enugu State. I was a CSO to a governor, and he was brought to our government house, and we have to basically help with his wife, Stella. He never knew because he was in prison. He never knew what was going on. By the time they packaged him, I don't want to go into the secret of what happened, how he became the president. But he never saw this constitution. The 1999 constitution, he never saw it. Until he was sworn in. And anybody can challenge me. When I say things, he never saw it. So he was sworn in. Of course, somebody coming out from prison would have had time. Maybe he could have been able to say something about it, but he never saw it. And you should challenge me that he was sworn in with this constitution. He never saw it. So we need to address the issue of Islamic, next slide, please, in the constitution. Sharia law, why there's mass killing is because Sharia code was written to the 99 constitution. Remember, it is the 99 constitution. It is written to students. And in the Sharia Court of Appeal, executively, are you following this Muslim ticket now? You must have a president, a Muslim. Buhari was president for 8 years. Muslim. Gentlemen of the press, pay attention. Tinubu now has been president of Nigeria plus 8 years of Buhari. We remember it's been Jumbo Jungle. Jonathan will come, Basanjo will come, this one will come. They needed you to have president consecutively for 10 years. So, home from this lecture is that Nigeria is an Islamic state. We escape by just one small tip. If they have brought that in at the legislative arm, if they have removed that now, which has to do with marriages, inheritance, and divorce, if they've removed that from the constitution, then Nigeria is not. Understand what is going on. A Yoruba man for 5 billion. I hope the Department of State Services and the other arms of American security are listening. We have some people that are working for the terror that are not also in Nigeria. They're hiding in United Nations to them. Why should you bring Islamism through the back door? In 86, Babangida does to this. Buhari came, they continue. Now, Christians cannot worship freely. We are talking about freedom from fear, human rights. But if you go to church, and the Muslim ticket seems to be very happy with it. Next slide. So we have, as I said, these are the statistics. It shows for you. Next slide. So these are the problems. Lack of political will. Boko Haram that have given, I know them. They have the list. Since 2021, that I said the center of gravity of this problem, it took them 4 years for people to start catching up. Oh, the center of gravity are the sponsors. And today, everybody, including the Americans, to know that what I said in 2021 is actually the center of gravity. But what happened? Our government refused to arrest them. And see where we are. Since 4 years ago that I've said it. Caution. Today, we now have numerous places, Plateau, Benue State, Kwara, Ilorin, and so on. We wouldn't have them because you could have it. So that is the issue, lack of government will. And I will stay there. Next slide, because we need to go. So I came up with this 7-point agenda. We should teach Constitution in the school. Gentlemen, if you're into education, we should teach the Constitution of Federal Republic of South in the schools. It should be taught. And we should expunge religion from the Constitution. It's a secular state. We should just remove it from the Constitution. That's number one. We have to discuss about the OIC membership. It's either the same parliament that wants to remove personal, because they think we are all fools. Because once you remove personal, it becomes, it's now, those facts now apply to everybody. But if you say it's personal, then it's only applicable to three things: divorce, marriage, and inheritance. But if you remove it, it covers everything up to criminal laws. Means the Constitution of Nigeria has now said Nigeria is an Islamic state. Why they are doing this, I don't know. Maybe we'll discuss that during the plenary. So I said that we should discuss the OIC membership, either at the parliament or we can conduct a referendum. Why can't we? Do you want to be an Islamic country? We can conduct a referendum. One is personal matters still exist because they could not succeed in removing it. So cutting people's hand and going to issue of criminal code shouldn't have been allowed. But it's going on, and we are still looking. Now we should build advocacy. Some of you that are Christian, build up a response challenges to religious contradictions. If there's a contradiction in your constitution, there's a contradiction there. Why advocacy and policy, Christian legal and civil response to challenge this contradiction? Why can't we do that? Instead of somebody swimming for 5 billion, why can't he focus on something like this? One is reciprocity, in favor of any religion, because if you look at appointments in the government now, it's not balanced. Okay, so if you appoint Muslim to be CBN governor, okay, you should apply a Christian to be somebody in maybe finance, Minister of Finance. Why not? And I want to. It's not about individuals, it's about the system, the legal and political system. Next slide. I'm very fond of some philosophers. One of them is Aristotle, Sun Tzu, and Clausewitz. And Aristotle is of the opinion that a modern state cannot tolerate normalization of religious killing. So Nigeria needs to have a national database of non-religious violence response. Of course, the Americans, they have. We have their database, and maybe we should make it a national thing. Then federal prosecution of religious motivated attack. If people are attacked because of religious reason, they should be prosecuted. That's what the court is for, and you sentence them. Then we have to protect our churches. All this thing I'm saying here is something that we do, but I think the government is not willing to do them. So let's go to the next slide. When citizens lose the right to life, every other right becomes meaningless. When schools are unsafe, the nation's future is compromised. When politics becomes violent, democracy dies slowly. When religious killings are tolerated, as it is now, national unity fractures. The Nigerian state must rise to its constitutional responsibility, not occasionally, not selectively, but consistently and universally. Next slide. Yes, my friends, I have to actually acknowledge, show appreciation to my friends that are here. I have to do this because I have passed through a lot. In fact, that I'm still standing here talking to you. Sometimes I think it's a dream, that maybe I'm dead. I'm just dreaming, that type of thing. So, Mr. Femi Falana, I have to acknowledge him. Please, a round of applause for him. Some of you are not, you don't understand why I was excited when I saw Showore here. You will not understand. Please clap for him. I won't say more than that, but he knows, and I know. And the third person is my friend, Dele Farotim. Is not here. Please let me to clap for him. Um, I have my reasons for doing this, and people like Showore and Dele Farotimi, I think some of the rascalities, and criminal tendencies of those that govern us maybe will be reduced. So please, I want to specially thank them for their role. Next slide. Some of you may know this guy. I don't know him. I've never met him in my life. But there's no time this man will talk on YouTube and he will not talk about Olawumi. I don't know him. But he has been able to do something. He has been able to expatiate on my views in 2021, and he has educated a lot of Nigerians on actually what it means to tolerate the Fulanis. I said that we should teach history, um, teach the Constitution, but at this point, I must know why they remove history. You could have known that the Fulanis don't belong to Nigeria. You will know. You will know their history from Futajalon. They came and how they came here through Madam Fodio and how they killed all the Hausa kings and how they put what do we call those that kings? How they put emirs in all northern states. You will know because it's in the history. So they remove history for you. So you are ignorant. You don't know that they don't belong here. There are so many things we also find out if they introduce history back into our curriculum. So, aside from introducing the Constitution as a course, they should also introduce history back into our curriculum. I will shock you by telling you that most of your head of state and president in this are not Nigerians. I will shock you. And that is why they treat Nigeria the way it is. Because I don't see any Nigerian that is going to, let's say you're a Nigerian, you are born here, then you will go to Sudan and go and bring fighters to come and kill your people. Let's think about it deeply. A Nigerian will not do that. A Nigerian will not go outside and bring strangers to come and. It's like you're a husband in a home, and you now bring armed robbers to come and rape your wife, and you are watching the armed robber raping your wife. That's the way you should look at it. It simply means they are not Nigerians. Some of them are from Mauritania, some of them are from Niger, some of them are from northern Cameroon, some of them are from Mali. That is why they can invite chaos, anarchy to us here because they don't belong to us. They are just here for your resources. So help me to whoever knows, tell him I acknowledge him. He has been very a great guy. So next slide. Next slide. Yeah, you can see my friend here also. There are so many other people I cannot acknowledge, that I cannot mention, that have contributed to my survival one way or the other. It's not easy dodging this janja weeds looking for you. So next slide. So as we mark the 77th International Human Rights Day, let us reaffirm a simple principle. Human rights are not symbolic, gentlemen. Don't just say human right. Human right, we wear t-shirt is human right. It's not symbolic. Take note. They must be lived, experienced. Let us understand that human right must be. The Nigerian Bar Association, guardian of constitutional order. Today's challenge demands that the question not only criticize future, but lead the reforms necessary to restore faith in the Nigerian state. I thank you for listening. I look forward.
in furtherance of the program, I'm going to hand the microphone over to our cerebral Honorable Justice Fadikwe to drive the program further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Olawumi. I think that for that lecture, you needed 2 days. The amount of time given to you was not sufficient to deal with the topic. But I believe that the key takeaway for us really at the end of the day is this. What we see with our eyes are not necessarily the truth. We have to become more courageous and look beyond what is presented. I remember that in those times when lawyers were the movers and shakers of policy in Nigeria, lawyers had a lot of respect then. And lawyers would not necessarily take on briefs that were against morality. I see something totally different now. And my prayer is that we can go back to that time when lawyers are fearless, they know the law, and they can use the law to engineer the society. It comes at a cost. It's worse than taking that time to know what is right and being willing to do it. You may not always win, but I can assure you, you will get in your bed, put your head on your pillow, and sleep well. I just wanted to mention that there is Isheshe court in the. I'm sorry, I have this alarm that goes off at 12 o'clock, and I always forget to turn it off. My phone is on silent, but the alarm. No, it's here. So there's the Sheshe court. There's customary court of appeal in the constitution. But what I don't know is whether it actually does Isheshe, because it's mainly about inheritance and land ownership. And maybe to a small extent, customary marriage. So they have put there to solve our wounds. So that's the customary court of appeal is there. And the professor has also given us the solution to the, I think all of us know what the solution to the problem is. The real fundamental is, do we have the political will to fight through? Fortunately, I have taken the bar at the bench, so I cannot fight the fight. But we do need lawyers who are full of conscience, who are full of integrity, and who are unafraid of the consequences that may follow the action. We cannot continue to just, go with the flow. We have to change that attitude. Thank you very much. So I want to call on Professor Edem Okon to give his own perspective on the topic.
Thank you, my Lord, for allowing me to step out, which is very unethical when you're sitting on a panel. But I explained to my Lord why I had to do that. Where I work in the institute, today we have a statutory meeting. We have the annual general management meeting, and we also have the academic planning meeting for next year. And I'm the director of research now. I'm no more the director of studies. So I have a lot to say today. I had agreed to be part of this discussion because of the topical nature of the discussion and how important it is to me in my life. And that's why I'm not even in Abuja. I had decided to opt for the online, participation in the meeting. I had also thought that by the time we start by 9, which is what I was told. Before 10:30, 11, I will have done my bit and then leave for the meeting. But unfortunately, I am still here. I don't want to blame anybody. Take the responsibility, sir. I have also missed a substantial part of the keynote address. But I think as panelists, we are not allowed to, it's not common, it's not normal to come and raise new issues. It's to key yourself to what the keynote speaker has said, pick out issues from there, and discuss the issues. Like we used to do in school, where there's a bit of little gap, you fill in the gap for the keynote speaker. I thought that would be my duty today. Unfortunately, I've missed a lot of what he said. But I think I still have some few points to raise. I'm not going to do a detailed presentation the way the keynote speaker did. I won't exceed 10, 15 minutes. I have a 22 slide, PowerPoint, which I will probably look at what the chairman has, the keynote speaker has presenter has done, and then see what I can edit and give the bar a very good comprehensive note. And that I will do today before I leave for Abuja later in the day. Now, I had today is a very remarkable day globally. We're marking the Human Rights Day. And we have issues in Nigeria. Issues of security, mass killing. And we tied it to the theme or the concept, right to stability or to safety and security. I had, Lord, well, let me also recognize the chairman, please. Sorry, my brain is very fast to move. I'll go outside again. So let me recognize the chairman of the bar, Abasa. Thank you, sir, for the platform. And thank you, the chairman of the Human Rights Committee, for giving this platform to share my views. First of all, I had to hang my introduction within the text, because we live in a world of texts. And there are so many texts written out today, within the context of human rights are very, everyday essentials. Now, we live in a country of uncertainty. That's what we live in Nigeria today. It's turbulent, unpredictable, where human beings and corporate entities feel a growing sense of insecurity. And then, because of the extreme, I call it extreme violent crimes and terrorism. In a country like us, where we live in a world of uncertainty, the only thing that can help us, in everyday life and activities, is our very human rights. And if you read what Volker, the High Commissioner for Human Rights Office, said human rights are our compass in turbulent times. And that's the truth. Guiding our everyday and taking us through uncertainty. And I add, including government actions and reactions. So in a world that we live, very uncertain world, I remember like in those days when we were students, you couldn't afford flight all the time. You jump into a night bus because you don't want to stretch yourself in the day. In the morning you are in Abuja or somewhere. But now we can't do that again. Moving even within the town itself. It's good in the West because of the unity of the governors in the West. The cooperation, among the governors in the West that has reduced the violent crime level in the West. But when you go to the East, each time you want to leave your house, people will ask why. And the same thing in Abuja. Each time in Abuja, even if I'm lodging in a hotel, my sister will be so concerned if I want to step out to buy anything. So it's a big issue. It's a big issue. I also had concern, my Lord, the chairman of this forum, with the concepts. Whether we should, because what I was given was safety, security. And I know that as a matter of fact, that safety is not typically used as an adjective to qualify security. And of course, safety, security cannot stand on its own as one concept. So I have done in my introduction, concept clarification, and then lay a foundation why I have decided to use the concept right to safety and security, which is what I think I will find in most of the literature. And I have defined the concept, security, safety, security. But I think my own discussion, and within the context of our theme today, I have defined the right to safety and security as a fundamental human right, primarily focusing on personal security, and evolving into broader concept of human security has to do with needs and wants. It's not just only on protection of life and property, but it goes beyond and captured, our very existence, which is what we need in life, what we need to survive, and what we really want, to have in life. So that is my own definition of, right to safety and security. I have also, I think the chairman also did not. Sorry, my screen is. I don't want to, double with data because the chairman has done that, or the keynote speaker has done that. But it is true that since 2009, we have experienced high level of extreme violent crime in Nigeria. And then, of course, terrorism has also taken a big toll. The heady farmers have taken a big toll. Kidnapping has taken a big toll. And all these units or heads of crime, human lives lost run to tens of thousands. So it is not something we should, take for granted. And I've also made it very clear that the problem is, all regions in the country are affected. That's the truth. The North, the Middle Belt, and the Southeast seem to have experience more of this high level of crime and atrocities. It is a bit peaceful in the West, like I said earlier, because of the cooperation, that the governors in the West, have engaged to reduce, the impact of extreme violent crimes and terrorism in their territory. That doesn't happen. We've been hearing of, scanty cases, war in the Osun State, and of these types of crime. I think today, my Lord, I would do I have a bit of academic perspective in my work, which I think the lawyers will be interested. But the issue is just to identify the causes of the problem. I have listed a couple of consequences, which I think we all know. But the causes are high level of poverty, unemployment, illiteracy, the porous nature of Nigerian bound borders, poor implementation, of democracy at the local government level. That is very crucial, and I'll come back to it. And then I also said, and thank God that we have a very senior police officer here, poor implementation of the Nigerian police regulation. Especially the neglect of the lower structure of the police, which is the divisional office and the district office. I will be glad if I will be able to hear from him or have the record whether they will still have district offices working, and if they are working, what are the quality of personnel, and what are the quality of equipment they have. Because if you are listening to, and I have in my paper, the speech that was made by the in the ministry, it's getting very, very clear that the problem that we're having in the country, the military solution is 20 to 25%. No matter how you fund the military, no matter the equipment you give to the military, they can't exceed 20 to 25. So the major solution lies in good governance. There are so many indices. I will address the police now, so I don't forget it. Because if it is true that crimes are located within the community or localized, sort of, then you need the presence of the police at that level. I think that is why I'm not preempting my subsequent slide. That is why the president called for withdrawal of the police officers from the VIPs. But I doubt if that has also been applied to the police force. I don't know how many officers my very good friend came here with, and how many officers go with the commissioner of police in Lagos. But I know by training that he's trained to defend himself. So if he has 10 officers with him, 2 or 3 escorts, I don't know whether that is really not part of management of human resources in the police. But that is not the major issue. The major issue is if crime in a very excellent structure at the IG level, the Deputy Inspector General level, the IG level, the Commissioner level, and of course the zonal and the area level. We've seen good structures. You go to the office, I think they have a coordination running. The people who are the office that is really the regulation is also very serious. Those who drafted the regulation are very serious. At that level, they ask inspector to hate. And then you have qualified officers. I see 3-star officers, I see CSC officers on the road in Lagos, manning traffic. When they should be, no, I didn't say that, please. You have to be very careful what you want to say. When they should be at the district, such officers that are well trained, should be at the district, to really manage, the security concern of the district, of the community. So I don't know, because I think the major problem that we have is the issue of, mismanagement of resources, and then poor structural implementation in the police, which is hinged on the Nigerian police regulation. I've also identified that we also have our own problem, from the legal angle. We still have obsolete laws. I still have delay of, criminal justice, despite the enactment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act and the laws at the various level. But the issue is that to what extent is the judiciary being funded? What equipment do they have? I go in once in a while, and sometimes you wait until about 10 before sitting will start and the light will come. And after about 2 or 3, light will go, and that will be the end. And how do you blame the officers who man such courts? How do you blame? How do you expect the best from them? That's an issue. I've also identified, very important, that the approach the government is using is quite wrong. That as a scholar, we are focusing on kinetic and rational approach instead of non-kinetic and normative approach. Kinetic, I mean that we are focusing on force, which is military. But the truth that, as the defense minister had already mentioned, they can't do more than 20 to 25%. That is somebody who has spent 39 years in the military and then has come back again at the defense, rose to the rank of the chief of defense staff, am I correct? And then came back now as the minister of defense. So I think he's knowledgeable. I think he has enough experience. If he says we cannot deliver more than 20 to 25%, no matter how you equip us, then it's quite abnormal for us now to start thinking that whether force will solve the problem. Then rational factors, which is based on the rational theory. If you engage yourself in the economics of crime theory, it is assumed that we are all rational human beings. That is assumed. You may have a few exceptions. That for any man to commit crime, any crime, you will have to consider where the cost and benefit. That's the rational human being of committing the crime, whether to engage in the crime or not to engage in the crime. When you weigh the costs and the cost is higher than the benefit, common sense will tell you, don't engage in the crime. And let me give you an example, very common example in my own area, in the maritime. Now, research has revealed that one trip of illegal fishing can earn the company close to 10 to 12 million naira. One trip. Yeah, even when you have discount the high cost of the diesel and everything. And now you don't have anybody patrolling the sea. That's number one. Yeah, it is true that Master is trying. The Master had acquired a couple of flying boats, patrol boats. But don't forget that, the nature of the ocean is as you go into the ocean, as you go beyond the coastal line, the waves become very, very serious. And then there are some level of vessels or patrol boats that cannot go beyond 20, 30, 40 nautical miles. So you expect that the Navy vessel will have to go in. But the truth is that even, and I also apply to the Marine Police. I mean, I'm not aware, sir, whether you have any big vessels, that can go beyond 50 nautical miles. And if you take the small size patrol boat into 50 nautical, the wave will just swallow the vessel. So fishing companies, have a field day. And you don't expect the Navy, and don't blame them. No, it is true. We have to put. I'm not here. I'm not an activist. Please, I speak with moderation. You don't expect the Navy to move a naval vessel. 5 more minutes to move a naval vessel. That costs millions of naira. To go and start pushing fishing vessels. So there are consequences, which you all know, but those are the core issues I have identified as the problem. And then, of course, the issue of governance, poor governance. Poor governance. Then I have also mentioned that ransom approach fuels extreme terrorism, extreme violent crimes. Ransoming, settling with them will not solve the problem. I have in my presentation identify the genesis of the right we're talking about. Emanated from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We have in the Convention on Civil and Political Rights. We have in the African Charter. All these rights are all in. And of course, if you read the International Court of Justice judgment and the European Court of Justice Human Rights Commission judgment, they have none of those courts have specifically decided on safety and security. But most of the decisions are linked to genocide. Of course, we are aware of in the Gambia case, the Israel and South Africa case. These are all genocide. They tied it to genocide. So that is something I've also tried to add to enrich the keynote presenter paper. Now, I have also in my look at right to safety and security in Nigeria. I think I was still on the platform when I heard the keynote speakers, started with the right to life, micro and safety. But if you read through the Constitution, chapter 4, there is no way where there is explicit or express mention of the right to safety and security. It's not there in our Constitution. So my thinking is that they are structurally and inextricably embedded in all other fundamental human rights. That is where I told the line of the keynote, not take your time. And it is true that these rights are universal, indivisible, interdependent, and interrelated. You can't enjoy the right to life where there is no right to safety and security. In fact, in my presentation, I have also made it very clear that right to public safety and security has sort of an overarching, eminent and importance than all other rights. If you look at section 45, subsection 1, it is one of the conditions where section 30, 37, 38, 39, 40, and the rest of the conditions can be derogated. So you can see the importance of this right. Now, but I have also in my presentation, I'm trying to very fast. I can go from meeting, please. Look at other relevant. Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. Look at two other relevant conditional provisions. I have looked at the condition section 11, subsection 1, section 14, sub 2, sub B. Where they state has the duty, to provide for security and welfare of the people. Now, I've also looked at, section, the issue of whether those sections, especially section 14 sub B, is accessible, is something Speaker has settled in a copy of the jurisprudence in the cases from Ondo, AG Ondo State against the AG of the Federation up to AG of Lagos State. We have so many cases that have been settled. And even though they are not justiciable because of section 6 of section 6 of C, but when once the law is enacted on it, then those provisions are enforceable. That is not an issue I think I should bother us with. Now, I've looked at section 215, sub 3, and sub 4, where the president has the right, to direct the IG on issues of security. And the governors also have the right, that's subsection 4, have the right to, to direct the Commissioner of Police on issue of security. But subsection 4 has a proviso that says the Commissioner of Police has the discretion to tell the governor, wait yet, let me refer the matter to the governor. Then I have looked at the Police Act also, and then there's still interface between the president and the IG. President and the IG and the governor. But nobody has said the constitution that is where we have lacuna in the constitution. Like the third arm of government, the third tier of government was completely silenced. The local government council is not given any security function. When you look at section 6, there's nothing that gives the local government council the power to do anything as far as security is concerned. So the governor is the alpha and omega. And the governor is also within the context of the discretion of the Commissioner of Police. And as I said earlier, the police has no district officer. I don't know why they have. He's here to speak for his office. Please, I have looked at section 10 of the Police Act, section 83. I'm just trying to rush so I can finish on time, and then I've also looked at the Terrorism Act. Yeah, Terrorism Act. I have also brought out issues that have to do with security. The beauty about Terrorism Act is the enforcement. Who are to enforce the law. If you look at almost all the important officers, right from the National Security Officer up to NAPTIC, all are involved. Why are we still having extreme violent crimes? That's the problem. Then I ask the question, how effective is the right to safety and security? And my perspective, I stand to be corrected, that the past and current situation in Nigeria reveal that the right to safety and security is largely ineffective in practice. It could be in theory, but in practice not. And of course, I said, I see that there's no doubt the military is making a bit of effort. We have to commend them. I mean, you know how many personnel they have lost. And I also have to commend the judiciary. There have been a couple of, number of convictions. Now, why the sudden change of government? I'm almost done. Yeah. Why the sudden change? Why the sudden change, in government attitude? I now look at Trump's, rhetoric. And then why did he suddenly coincide, with our president's immediate action, decision to address security? Was it that the president so much loved the country? Or was it that the president was afraid that the concept of genocide had been introduced to Nigerian, mass killing and extreme violent crime? I have looked at the conventions in those areas, and the one that U.S. is the party, the one that are not party. And my perspective, even when you look at the U.S. Act, the Act limits the president, to take action where the offense is committed in U.S. or the impact is on U.S. So whoever had if the president would think that the president was had stayed away from the G20 meeting and the rest, I think we are wrong, because legally, it's the rhetoric. I know sometimes Trump goes beyond extent, and it could take some very rational action. Let me run straight to my conclusion, please. I have looked at, I've also analyzed all the action the president has taken, right from the new appointment of the new defense minister. I've looked at all those actions. Of course, the National Assembly, decision to review, to amend the constitution based on the address made by the new defense secretary. But my conclusion that what is the real way forward? I think that is why we are here as lawyers. I said, in the world of uncertainty caused by insecurity and mass killing, our right to safety, as well as other fundamental human rights that affect us, become the bedrock of our lives. That is why we are here today, to make sure we engage, and utilize our human right, very effectively. Safeguarding the right to safety and security by ending extreme violent crimes and mass killing requires an list. Adopting a society approach. We have to strengthen the communal resilience, strengthen their capacity, and that is where police has to come in. The issue of focus on the IG, the deputy IG, and then, of course, leaving the lower cadre structure, for me, I think is not going to help the system. Then we need to amend our constitution to at least give the local government council some security function, at least within a strategic, map out. Then proper funding of the military, proper funding of the police. But if they are going to go to that level, they need more funding. Then, of course, my last slide, funding and training of the judicial officers. The lasting solution lies in good governance. That's the truth. No matter what we do today, no matter how the grammar we speak here, if the government is not going to change its focus, and ensure that it meets the need of the citizen, insecurity will continue to abate in Nigeria. I'm not a prayer. I'm not a prophet of doom, but that's the truth. Yes. So, strengthen, safeguard borders, modernize technology, intelligence strategies, and establish common national database for crime. And then, of course, lastly, I say we have to avoid, ransom approach to dealing with terrorists. Thank you for listening.
A round of applause again for the cerebral Professor Edem Okon. Please, if you are the owner of car plate number LND 911 JT BMW, please, you have to repack. May I use the opportunity to recognize the presence in our midst of Mr. Jonathan Gunu Taide, SAN. A round of applause for him. May I also recognize the distinguished presence of Apostle Peters Bell, Jigo. And also the presence of our eminent Mr. Sheyi Olawumi, former branch chair. And of course, Ms. Doyin Shobie, our former vice chair. A round of applause for her. And members of the civil society that are here in present, Joint Action Front, Youth Rights Campaign, and all the media houses that are here in present. You are highly welcome. Thank you. Over to His Lordship.
Thank you very much, Professor Okon. We're grateful for your insights, and we thank you for your kind consideration in waiting beyond time. You know that time is not your friend, but we thank you for being here and staying with us despite eating into your time. Now, some of the key notes that he spoke about was how insecurity is not just about, restricted to a particular place. It all affects freedom of movement. It affects, it imbibes fear in people. And when you're fearful, you become, you're afraid to go anywhere. You're afraid to do anything. Economic power is reduced. Even feeding becomes a problem. It's very debilitating. Fear can be very debilitating. It affects your entire life. And he also said something that, I hadn't heard: cooperation among the governments of the states in the Southwest has helped with the insecurity issue in the Southwest. I think that's something that all the other governments too can look to, cooperate and ensure that, at least to some extent, they give their people that calmness and the courage to be able to come out and do what they need to do. I know there's a lot of marketing and commerce among the southwestern states, and that probably is what pushes that. Another key thing talked about was policing as opposed to military might. And it's true, the police is the closest to the grassroots. They're supposed to know the people that are within the community. They're supposed to have records of who the good people are and the not so good people. They are the eyes of the government within the smaller communities. The military comes in, does what he has to do and goes, but the police live among us. He raised the issue of genocide. I don't know what the definition of genocide is, if it is not that you kill a certain group of people because of who they are, because of that is not necessarily color. It doesn't have to be. If it's just two people, it's a genocide, if that's the reason for it. So by the time we're getting to thousands, tens of thousands, God help us. Okay, so I think the issue of the local government having their own policing too is an issue. I think they used to have, but the state has taken it over from them and given their the former local government police, they've now given them guns and now use them as state police. So thank you very much, Professor. Professor wants to leave. I don't know if anybody has any questions so that he can answer them and go. Okay. Yes. I'll take two questions, the lady and the gentleman. Are you giving them microphones? Hello? Please come and take this one so that you can ask your question while they prepare another microphone. Identify yourself and then ask the question.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adejare Adegbite. I'm a member of the Tiger Bar, Ikeja branch. My question is, I wanted to hear the perspective of Prof as to state policing, right? Because we have seen in recent time how strategic internal security measures have been able to mitigate some of the attacks, within our immediate environment. You have personal security guards, you have vigilantes, and the prominent one in the Southwest, the Amotekun, right? I wanted to hear your perspective on that. And is this something that is long-term? Is it achievable? That's about it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think that issue had, before now it was debatable, but if you follow the discourse and you find out that the president has already, directed that the National Assembly should look into how we can establish the police, state police. I think that is the position of the president now. He's very willing to concede to that. And then I think lesson learned, that's why we have to also engage yourself in case study. What has happened in the West. They may not have a formal police, but they have something close to that, and that has helped the regional, the Western region. And that probably may be the reason why the president has considered. It's something that the National Assembly has to work on because we have to integrate it into our constitution. I have also said that it's not an issue for me. My thinking is that even when you have the state police, you still have to allow the local council have some strategic, you map out, security fund rule. Now, for example, look at the safe school initiative that started from last year. You go and establish a school close to a forest. No perimeter fencing. Nothing. That's the local government level function, and the local government can enforce that. You are not going to start a school if you don't have perimeter fencing in your school. You can't start a school without having at least 1 or 2 security in your school. These are some. We are not talking of carrying arms. That's why I say strategic map out function for the local government. Not taking arms. The arms can stop at the federal state police, but not local government. There are some functions that the local government can, security functions that local government can perform that will help to solve that, the issue of extreme violent mass killing in their territory.
Thank you, Professor. Please. Can we have somebody that can give the microphone to the participants? Come and get it. So that somebody can take it around to wherever they want to ask the question.
Yes, my name is Gladys Okelola. I'm a member of the Ikeja branch. And my question has to do with the last statement you made on avoiding ransom. There's no way. I'm speaking from experience. My other brother was kidnapped, and there was no reliance on Nigeria police. After like a week of not knowing where he is, what to do, we have to succumb to negotiation. We negotiated from 200 million. We ended up paying 10 million. This insecurity we are talking about, when you've not experienced it, you don't know how it feels. 2 years later, my mom was kidnapped in her house. She wasn't traveling. We understand. So for my mom, who is the mother of 12 children, she has been able to train all her children. She have lawyers. She have doctors. It was a great pain for us. And running back to the police, what do? Nothing. Okay, my husband worked in a telecommunication company. Let's do tracking. We're able to track the plot of land my mom was held hostage. The police couldn't do anything. I am telling you from experience. And when you immediately made mention of that word, it was like the ground should open and let me enter. I shouldn't pay ransom. Now, at a point, I was just like, we negotiated. I put my father's house for sale to raise like 20 million. Yes, because even when we were speaking to my mother in the bush, my mother was like, "Don't not ready to let her go, not to see her corpse." And I went all the way. The police even encouraged negotiation. Even when after I have used the telecommunication to locate, because they were communicating with us with my mom's phone, they came in armed. My mother has an essential dog, and somebody will have a caregiver taking care of her. The dog was shot, the caregiver was shot. In the comfort of our home, sir, when you are in this position, you will negotiate. You will negotiate for a ransom. Thank you.
I don't think you really have much to say to that. Yes. I don't think you have much to say to that.
I don't have much to say.
A lot of times it is personal, and it's the person that knows where the shoe pinches. And I also think that maybe Professor wasn't talking about personal ransom, private person. I think he was talking more about government taking that position of let us give them money. Maybe if we give them money, they will leave us alone.
I think my Lord has spoken my mind partly, but I said something when I identified the causes of the extreme violent crime we are having. That number one, ransom
please,
fuel.
Please, one house.
Ransom fuel the crime.
It does.
Ransom
it
fuel
really
the crime.
does.
Madam, don't be too sure that if you do deep investigation, find the people that kidnap your brother, may be some people that came to kidnap your mother, because the family had the money to provide to pay. Ransom fuel the crime. I know, as a matter of fact, we've done a couple of studies in criminology in the institute. These are guys who are mostly on drugs. Nobody buys. There's no 5 naira drug. There's no cigarette in in the crime business is cocaine, it's hard drug, and they are very expensive. So it's like laundering money. The money funds it. Now, I think the problem we are having is not the family going to pay. The issue of government not paying ransom, that is completely no-go area. The Minister of Defense, listen to what the Minister of Defense said. He said that government should not negotiate for ransom at any time. And I think he's correct. Where we have failed in Nigeria is the police. I'm happy we have an officer here. Now, in UK, I've spent a couple of years in UK. When you have issues that has to do with ransom, watch the movies on hijacking. The police will tell you, go and negotiate. But the police will be behind you at every second of the negotiation. Until when you hand over the fund and they will pick the crime. You don't give ransom and leave the criminals to go. If you are giving them funds and they leave with the fund, they will definitely come back again to hunt you.
Thank you very much.
So if the police is doing their duty, we could say strategic, negotiation. But when the police now leaves you,
we are now going on to the second. Yes? Yes, we want to move to the next. Yes, it does.
You want to leave now?
Yes,
Okay,
it does.
so I think we need to, my chairman, please come to present him with then we have a group photograph with him before he leaves. Prof, thank you so much for coming. I know that you told me that you have series of meetings today. Is it? So, chairman.
If it was left to me, subject to my lord's ruling, I will be objecting seriously to Prof leaving at this time, because he has actually he has opened the door, and we are waiting for the police. He has moved his application, and the police is yet to respond to that application. And Prof wants to leave. My lord, subject to my lord's, I am seriously objecting, but since I've been ordered to present this to you, I have no option but to do so. Prof, thank you for being a panelist at the International Human Rights Day program of the MBA Ikeja branch, 10th of December 2025. You have actually made some very powerful points that we are going to, sit down again and bring out these highlights, and we are going to put it out. We are going to put it out. But we don't want this to just be a talk show or make it rhetorical. We just want to make sure that our voice is heard as the conscience of the nation bar that we are. Thank you, Prof, for coming out.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Prof.
So we'll now move on to the next Kuti. Is the SA Bureau your surname or the Kuti? Please, can we have another microphone? Dr. SA Bureau, we'll give you about delivered. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, beautiful.
Okay. I will elect to maintain the subsisting protocol. On this issue, I find a bit of conceptual dissonance in the theme. The previous two panelists sort of hinted at this possibility without actually describing it. Assume you have a right, and for that assumption, and also because you have been indoctrinated to believe that the state owes you the maintenance, defense of those rights. Now, you now think because of that, you also have a right to security and safety. And all this while, in the course of this discourse, you've forgotten your state of animal correctness. Your state of animal correctness is that you owe yourself the rights that the Constitution claims. All these academic business, scholarly businesses, they have something like this in the Constitution. The Ishe part of the Constitution. I mean, that is an authority who refers to the Constitution in a second person reference. They showed you how much insemination in the first place did not emanate from you. Otherwise, if it emanated from us, no one will have institution. To correct that, they also have the presence of mind, respectably, to say, okay, we need to teach this Constitution. But you can't teach a fraudulent document. It will first and foremost emanate from the people, get ratified by the people, adopted and upheld, and then you can project it to the schools in order for you to proceed. Now, concerning what we have been facing, I said you must remember and never forget. Don't forget, don't give up your right to and claim to be keeping for you. Now, we say you have a contract with the state. Might is right. I defend my family and my property because a system says, here is state. Okay, so give me part of your responsibilities to yourself, so I hold it in trust for you. And so you extended that to the state. And that's a social contract. And the state said, for holding it in trust for you, you pay me tax. I will have to do this and that for you. I will provide all of this for you. And if Showore tries to mess with my phone, okay, the state will do something about that. And if I choose, we left that animal state of personal self-responsibility. It is divinity in human state. You owe yourself that. Okay, so if the state fails, which means the contract has been broken, it's a breach. You go back to it. So it is not illegal for you to shoot any bastard. It is unknowing that who is the police going to shoot him fair home, and you ask me to call the police. No, the police will be place. We will be dealing with the issue of why did you do what after, but not what I was going to do at that time. And so this is the kind of narrative that we should popularize. Democratize the right to self-defense. Democratize the narratology of, and you are lawyers, don't keep those things in their mystical state. Export. By the time this narrative becomes very popular, the government will be scared because they will know that you are now about to take action by yourselves. Okay, so how did we get here? So briefly, we look at the historical context of some of the crises we are looking at. They call it uncertainties. There is nothing like uncertainty in criminalities. It is usually contemplated as a political economy to crime.
And so you have a situation where, for instance, the last 4 generations of arms and ammunition manufactured across the world have become outdated. You have AI, you have a large cache, lots of warehouses are filled up with ammunitions that have been manufactured in the last 30 years. Somebody's losing money as a result of that. So a market has to be created. You have to incentivize and stimulate crime, criminality, and war in order for those things to be sold. There is no uncertainty to it. There is a certainty to the process. It's a crime and war. And so those arms must be pushed out. So some people are somewhere making trillions and incentivizing the process that is keeping you awake at night. So there is, in a country like Nigeria, 9 out of 10 citizens work in the informal sector. 9 out of 10 work in the informal sector, which simply means all this shenanigan you call state's infrastructure and superstructure is only being enjoyed by 10% of the population. That they for an elitist process of just amassing and tooling your own convenience for 10 persons. 10%. That is unacceptable. So you have 90% in the informal sector. Informal sector simply medical, health, facilities. They don't have access to insurance. They don't have access to so many things. And yet they are taxed senseless. And so which means the state is in a criminal state, actually not doing much for 90%, but expropriating them in order to feather the nest of 10%. So you have that insecurity emanating from dissent. You have lots of people who can afford to go to school. And so you have the alimentary practice that was talked about here being a continuation in a contemporary sense of what started in the period of the Nilotic tribe and their migrations. So if you look at the geopolitics of the Fulani menace, it is not something that happened recently. It is not something that you could ascribe, to 10 years of Boko Haram insurgency. It is something that has lasted close to 300 years or more. When you had the days of the empire, the Fulani was very important. It's good now people are angry, you can denigrate on Fulani. But we do know from historical search and research that long before some of the most erudite Yoruba or Igbo people ever could read or write, the Fulani had written. Long before, in fact, 100 years ahead of literacy. Because see, literacy is not whether you can read or speak English, it is that you can read or speak or write. And so if you write Arabic, Hebrew, or anything, you are literate. So these people documented even the geography of West Africa long before we produced the first contemporary scholar. But how did they become a people that are holding the butter of humanity in terms of civility today? Because they became entrapped in a culture that was not going to yield to change or evolution. So when the empire states changed and you now had nation states, modern states, they continue with nomadism. And for moving from place to place, they lost all the benefit of sedentary, civilizational development. So no land, no construction of livable space and all that. And they became the floating population. So if you say that they were not Nigerians, they were never from anywhere because they were always on the highways. Now they are caught up in the reality that everybody is rooted to the ground. And so there's need to root them to the ground. If you do not articulate this historical context to the crisis, you would only keep venting, negatively without actually showing some humanity to their own issue. Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a war if nothing is done clearly. And then after that war, we will do what foolish people do. We will fight in order to talk, rather than talk in order to avoid the fight. Okay, so after the war, we will still get back to the table. We will deal with these issues of geopolitics, the historical context of everything, and we begin to realize that it would have been nice if from the beginning we familiarized ourselves with so many of these issues so that we can show some empathy even to those who have no empathy for us. like the Fulani. I do not believe that we can hold any discourse in utter pain and negativity and all that. No, they had actually constructed a very bad discourse with us, but we should also see what is fueling that. And if a man cannot understand his position and you can understand his position better than him, why don't you loan him some wisdom? So if we should look into this matter in the context of its historical significance, we will see that one way or the other, the entire continent is culpable here. ECOWAS is not doing anything about a floating population that became handy in Libya, and they were thoroughly armed. And then those who are applauding Trump, they forget also that whatever is circulating, you have Trevor. Trevor is over 50 times, due respect to you, military experts, 50 times superior to AK-47. And the Fulani bandits are handling Trevors. Trevor is produced in Israel. The so-called Fulani bandit is so-called a jihadist. Naturally, he's supposed to be wired against the Jew. The Jew is not interested whether you're wired. So far, you have the funds and you are serving his purpose. His Trevor is in the hands of the Fulani. One Trevor here will route the entire Ikeja very nicely because truly you can't stand it. And so these are the issues, the subtext of the issues we are dealing with. So if Trump is coming to do anything by that shenanigan and grandstanding, why is nobody asking? Can you first, before you come, withdraw all and shut all apertures, all channels by which your product find their ways into the desert? Tomahawk planes land in the desert, in the forest, and discharge large cache or sophisticated arms. Tomahawk is American aircraft. It's a cargo aircraft. And they are supplying food, medical supplies, and expertise and training to people in the desert. And yet we are localizing the discourse. And we are applauding America. That is actually the first power that can decapitate the so-called the head of that hydra, simply by just plugging the channels. Leave the equipments with them, but they will run out of ammo anyway. And that's it. You will see them coming out with empty guns and telling you they have surrendered. Now, why is it that nobody's talking about policies?
Thank you.
I am putting fire to this.
I understand.
I really respect that time. Okay, so the issue is this, and go home, and it turns out to be an exercise in intellectual masturbation. Then let's make it yield something. Let's have a situation where the discourse results into actionable, plans, and the state can see that the masses generally have understood the concept of social contract, and the masses are blaming the state, saying you have breached the contract, and so we do not owe you. Look, if we all agree that we won't pay tax and that the FRS can come after all of us, how many are there? How many of us? I mean, it won't work. If you could raise that kind of awareness, government will behave. So all that fallacy and voodoo talk about, they cannot fight in the desert, 85% is the maximum, is not true. It is not true. And why are you telling us you cannot respond with that kind of alacrity? But then 45 minutes after a call came from Republic of Benin, Nigeria showed its dramatic capacity for military excellence. We were in Benin and we routed a coupist. We were in Benin, doing the same in Liberia, in Somalia, in Sierra Leone, and so on. We thought that military was dead until shared interest of that class now got threatened. That look, your brother in the backyard, if he goes, you are next. You are surrounded by military regime. And suddenly, you saw action. We got there like SWAT and got everything. That military is here. And they're giving us excuses. They want more money. No, crime is an industry. And those people claiming they want more money for the police and the army, they are thieves. Don't give them no cover. They don't need any cover. Who gave the money that they used within 45 minutes to liberate Republic of Benin? Overnight, that happened. So nobody should give us that. and no more kobo should be spent in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ezebiro. Dr. Ezebiro came out with guns blazing. Oh my. And you know, a lot of times the truth is found in humor. We have laughed, but we need to sit down and really think about it. America wants to come in. America has the Second Amendment, a right to own a gun. We don't have that right in Nigeria. And the reason that America has that right is to prevent the tyranny of government. Let that sink in. He also mentioned about informal infrastructure. Most of us that are sitting here, we either work for a private practitioner or we own our own chambers. That's what is meant by informal infrastructure. In Nigeria, you provide your own water. You provide your own electricity. I've even seen that people have started building their own roads. A word is enough for the wise. So now I want to call upon the DCP, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Olubode Fakeye, to give us his own perspective on this topic.
Our amiable chairperson for this occasion, and I want to sincerely.
You have about 10 minutes.
I may not even spend up to 7
Thank
minutes.
you.
And I want to sincerely appreciate the Nigerian Bar Association, the Ikeja chapter. Last night we were at Etiosa representing the AIG. The AIG loves to be here in person, but it's all about security issues. Right away is there overseeing stakeholders on security, on the news of bandits creeping into the neighborhood of Ogun State already. We don't want to be taken by surprises in Lagos. That's the reason why the AIG is not here. Well, I don't think you have any problem. I'm not going to defend police action, but rather I'll be talking from life experience. Before now, I may not be competent to address most of the issues raised here. But thank God, last year I was deployed to the Northeast, and I found myself as a DC operation in Adamawa. And I spent a year and a month. I just came back to Lagos in April, and I saw a whole lot of things. So most of the speakers, well, we have rights to self-expression. But when you speak out of context because you don't know what goes on there, you might be wrong in your assertions and judgments. But then, I will throw a lot of that, and it's not enough time for us to harmonize it. One, insecurity is a national problem, and the government is already overwhelmed. Just like the last speaker said, if you trust the government with your life, you're going to die. That's number one. Two, the police, one house, please. The police, whether you like it or not, we are agents of the state. He will pay the piper. So, you may not get more than what you are seeing. But then, wisdom, community policing. You see, I go to Northeast March 12th last year, and I discovered that I had a peculiar problem that would describe as area boy in Lagos. In Adamawa, they know them as Sheila boys. They waylay, they maim, they rob, they do a lot of things, even rape. They go into the middle of the market, snatch your iPhone, and nobody there challenge them. And they're mostly the Fulanis. So second week of my coming in at the management meeting, the CP has been there for over 5 years. The DC I met, a lawyer. The assistant DCCID too, a lawyer. And I look at the way they were evaluating the crime. And I just threw it that. I said, excuse me, from the way you are talking, you are encouraging this crime for God's sake. Where I'm coming from, Lagos, this is nothing more than conspiracy to wit, armed robbery. Whether they go with a mob or a club or uh, an intimidating toy, I say they go for armed robbery. So why have you been charging them for stealing? If not that, you are encouraging them. After arraignment, the next 2 hours, they are back. And they started asking questions. This is CID, is that right? Yeah, the DC also say the fact. This is CID. And we change the approach. That same weekend, I led operation into Sambisa Forest with Lagos approach. And we were able to arrest 54 of them. And we changed the nomenclature. And they were reminded first on a holding charge, later, before I left Adamawa, we've arrested about 254 of these bandits. And you can now go freely with your phone. Nobody harasses you again. And the news was, one OPC Yoruba man is in town. It's all about approach. Okay, I got there again. I discovered that a whole lot of policemen there are stark illiterates. And I told my CP, if you give me the template, sir, I can go around the whole local government formations and lecture them. And say, go ahead. And I did that for about 8 weeks. And there was a change. And they live a careless life of drugs too, alcoholics, By 9 a.m., a banjad is already drunk. And they just default them, nothing. And I changed the whole of this approach. So I'm not going to say I am the best police officer we are meeting. Coming back to Lagos, as Zone 2 in April 2, the whole place was rotting of corrupt practices. And I'm sorry, some of lawyers are equally culpable. Because we have, as this is on CID, I investigate cases. And we see a lot of insecurity too that are being perpetrated by men of the honorable bars. Is it inheritance? The lawyer will not do a lot of manipulation to derive benefits. Is it you collect your client's money and you not remit? I can tell you a lot of insecurity beyond the scope of what we are saying. I expect this all to be few, but then few of us that are here, we can make a change. Now, my submission is this. Everybody must get involved. When I go to Adamawa, the office of a DC operation, I said, no way. I spend my personal money, change the facelift, because I believe in packaging. When you see me, you know what to give to me. I packaged the office, and within 2 weeks, the CP came, so, did you work with MJ Abubakar? I said, yes, sir. He said, no wonder. Change the office to white, POP, television in my office, at the reception, television, kept everybody busy. And the news was like that. I got to Lagos in April, the same thing I did in Zone 2. You can come and see. Some of you have been there. So individual approach. Lastly, leadership. In Adamawa, the police will have been helpless if not for the understanding of the governor of the state, Honorable Fintri Amadou. Every little crisis, and what are the common crisis? Farmers and elders clashes. They will kill, they will maim. And the topography is such that police cannot even go in. So in Adamawa, what we do mostly is a joint operation. Military plus the police and the locals. And the locals, you have vigilante, there are all sorts of names. And by the time you move out of Adamawa going to Gombe, you discover that even the local vigilante are armed with military guns. Beyond what military can do, they have the local approach. So all the military did was to harm them and give them backup. But the locals will be the ones to go on the terrain. And that was how they were able to rebel the Boko Haram. And they terminated their entry into Yola at Gombe because of collaboration. So here, all we need to do is to work together as one. Stop blaming this entity or this agent. No single person, no single formation can handle insecurity in Nigeria. And lastly, state policing is a relative term, depending on the leadership of the state. Otherwise, it could be an abuse. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner of Police. I think the one takeaway that we can take from that is this. Every one of us has a part to play. I don't know if you've heard about the 80-20 principle, where there are 10 people, 2 people carry the work. The 8 are just there for dressing. I think we need to make up our minds to be part of the 20%. Wherever we are, let us make a difference. I just want to give an example of the Holocaust in Germany. As bad as it was, there were people that laid their lives down to save victims. There were children below the age of 18, 15, that laid their lives down. There were SS officers, Gestapo officers who helped save lives. It is not really about where we are or what position we are in life. We should take every opportunity, because what you do to one, you do to yourself. What we allow will eventually come back to us. So we need to take a stand, do what we can in our own little space. And like he said, lawyers are becoming complicit, and I don't know how that happens. We leave the responsibility of the lawyer for the police. Your client comes to you. Let's write petition. That's the first thing that comes, even when you know it is a civil transaction. And of course, the police will take advantage, because we all stay within this economy. So I think it's time for the Nigerian bar, or at least the Ikeja bar, the Tiger bar, to take back the power. Lawyers are seen as the protectors of the people, of citizens. We need to stand on that. And we can only do that if we're properly educated. Know what your constitution says. Know what the law within your practice area says. Stay on top of it. I've known people go from the High Court to the Court of Appeal, they lose. But when they get to the Supreme Court and they make their argument, they get what they want. We can't all be fighters with guns, but we can be fighters with our words. Thank you very much. So now to ask Mr. Omoyele Showore. I hope to give us his own perspective on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I cannot start my speech today without thanking the people who invited me. Chairman Quadri, thank you so much for the honor. Joseph Oputse, a barrister, thank you for forcing me on the Tiger Bar today. And I want to thank our co-panelists, particularly Kuti Ezebiro, who we graduated at the University of Lagos together in I don't know which year you graduated, but I finished in 1995, 96, I'm out of the University of Lagos. Yes, give him a round of applause, please. Yes. I want to thank the police officer here. He has given a good account of himself. But as you can see, he's not wearing a uniform, because in the course of their withdrawal from VIPs, they have transformed themselves into civilians so that you won't find out that they are still doing VIP protection. Please put back your uniform so that we can account for. Thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Justice, for bringing us. And Commander Olaumi, he told you that he didn't want to tell you how he knew me. It was actually in 2021, I think, they invited and wanted to detain him for revealing that he knows the people who are in Boko Haram. And at that time, I was sharing power with Buhari in Abuja. So, uh, so they invited him to the military headquarters, and they wanted to detain him. And I sent a message to the chief of army staff that if you detain him, we will invade the military headquarters. As a result, he was not detained. It's not as if I can do it, but I made sure they got the message. And but the most important thing we have to deal with today, because they've given very brilliant account of themselves, including professors, there's nothing else to add, except that when we talk about security in Nigeria, the question I ask, and you should ask yourself, is who has the right of safety? That's the biggest question. And the moment you answer that question, you understand why there's no security. And it's that safety and security is not meant for Nigerians as a whole. It's meant for the tiny 1% of people in power and in government and in the business community. The rest of you are just audience in the security business. So the Nigerian police has 350,000 members on paper. But as you know, I do my research. They only have 210,000 of them that are actually working right now, because most of them have traveled abroad but still collecting salary. And out of that 210,000 police officers that are left, about 110,000 of them are protecting VIPs. So you have only about 100,000 policemen left for 230 million people. That is why when they introduced their last withdrawal from VIP, I was laughing because I know there's no way you can withdraw police from VIP. The only unfortunate VIPs whose policemen will be withdrawn are those who have not renewed their license for protection. And in doing this, the IGP illegal, as I call him, must be smiling to the bank, because everybody will run back and say, okay, please, this is Christmas period. And criminals that they created are waiting for them anyway during the Christmas season. And the other thing you must understand is that insecurity or security happen as a result of two things that people don't discuss. One in Nigeria is as a result of intentional crime. But the most important insecurity we are faced with happens as a result of insecurity that is driven by structural problems. And when you talk about structural problems, forget about who you want to blame for what is happening in Nigeria. The biggest problem in Nigeria is that we have intentionally designed this country not to be protected because of the intention of those in power not to protect Nigeria. And let me tell you, most people don't know that Nigerian leaders, because of their inability to govern any territory, like small territories. Lagos, but what happens to the other parts of Lagos? That is what has happened with regards to how Nigeria has been left in the hands of these structural criminals. And they are aided and abetted by the official criminals who are in uniform as security agencies in this country. There is a running show, I would say, or report on Sahara Reporters about a general in the army who was kicked out. His name is Ali Kefi. He has revealed, and most of you have attention deficit disorder, you can't read anymore. I don't blame you. There's too much to read. Go and read just what this guy has been throwing out in the last 4-5 days. You will be shocked. The Nigerian security system is aware of where all the big criminals are. He revealed that for 8 or more years, Shekau was living at a place in Sambisa Forest that is known to all the military officers in the country. How is it that they are bombing even villages of people who are not involved, but they cannot bomb where Shekau is? Because the insecurity system is big business. And this is why I am not one of the people who is very quick to blame a Fulani man. Because it's not the Fulanis alone that are into crime. We only do what lawyers call alibi. We always want to blame somebody or give an excuse for all our failures. At the time, it was the Niger Delta militants that were problems.
Now it has moved up north. But you should ask yourself, why is the Fulani man succinctly having the ability to commit crime at the rate at which they are apart from connivance? It's economic. Beef, meat that you are eating is a $30 billion industry for the Fulani man. And there's none of you, particularly Yoruba people, there's nothing you don't eat as part of the body of a cow. The Yorubas are the only people who I know who eat everything in the body of a cow, except the shit. Even the shit they will eat through, what is that thing they call towel? Shaki. There's no way you eat shaki without eating shit now, because that is where shit is domiciled inside of the body of a cow. Nose, you eat. Bokoto, leg, nyash, everything you eat. Where does your money go to? The Fulani man who owns the cow. I once stopped on my way from Taraba. It's not funny, to Adama when I ran in 2018, and I stopped by a Fulani man and spoke to him on the road. The man said he has with his child over 40 million naira in that crowd, and they have some 1,000 cows following him. I said to him, why would you carry 40 million naira with you when you put it in a bank? He said, the banker is a thief. I don't want them to take my money. I said, so what do we do for you to solve this problem? He said, give me a hydroponic place to put my cows. I will stay. I don't like walking around, but nobody is doing that. The question is ingenuity and the capacity of leaders to think appropriately will solve 90% of our problems. But we don't want to solve our problems. We like to romanticize our problems. That is why every time we're always looking for somebody to blame. And when we finish looking for somebody to blame, then we are looking for somebody to help us. That is what brought us to Trump. Every Nigerian, Trump is coming, is coming. And I asked them 2 weeks ago in Lagos, what if Trump doesn't come? What happens? And Trump still hasn't come. Just like Jesus Christ hasn't come back. And you guys are expecting Jesus Christ to come and fix electricity, and Jesus hasn't come back in 2,000 years. And now you're expecting Trump to come and help you fix the problem of Boko Haram. Trump is not going to come because America doesn't help in places where it cannot benefit. I lived in America for 20 years, most of the problems. Everywhere America intervened in the world, they are still in the hands of the people they said they want to save them from. Go and talk about Afghanistan. Who is in charge of Afghanistan? Taliban. Go and talk about Libya that they broke apart. Where's your problem from? Small arms. Libya. Go and ask what they did in Syria. The guy who is president of Syria used to be, we had bounties of $10 million placed on his head. And he's now the president playing basketball with CENTCOM directors in America. That's the highest military command in the US. So foolishly, be expecting America to come and save you. And when that salvation don't come, then you start looking in the sky all the time. So we have a problem as a people that we are always running away from our problems because we don't want to solve them. And those of us who want to solve them, you don't believe that we can solve them because we don't look like the people who don't know how to solve problems. That is why all the time when we tell you that the solution to Nigeria's problem is revolution, you say, well, if there's a revolution, how is it that there won't be war? Are you not facing war now? Is it not low-level war that you are facing? And I want to say to you, most of Nigeria's insecurity problem came from injustice. Somebody was, Kuti was talking about we need to arm ourselves. What did Nnamdi Kanu do? Set up an ESN to arm their own people, to protect them against their own enemies. What did you put him? You took him, tried him, Yoruba prosecutors, Yoruba judge, because you Yoruba like to distance yourself from problem. And then you carried him and put him in Hausa jail because he set up a system to protect his own people. Is that not part of the right to have self-determination? But most of you that supported the injustice against Nnamdi Kanu, I'm saying it, are Yoruba intellectuals on Twitter who are saying he deserves to die. They insult me every day because I fight for him. Yoruba people mostly that, you should said they should go and kill Yoruba people. No. I am just saying that you should search your conscience as to the reason why you are in the situation that you are in. The president of the country, whether he's a Muslim or not, is a Yoruba man. And we are here still blaming Fulani. Is Tinubu a Fulani man? He's a Yoruba man. This guy came from Lagos here. You know, I think Commodore even says some of our leaders are not from Nigeria. It is true. But Tinubu, at least, is from Nigeria. So why is it that he doesn't care about Nigeria? Yes, you can say that. But the question is that how can you be from a place that doesn't even exist? The Nigeria we are all shouting about is a creation of some British guys. It's a supermarket that was created as a business in 19001 by the Niger Royal Company. That is the name of the company that created Nigeria. And you are here asking somebody that he should die for an idea that was done by a third party. So how can somebody be in Nigeria when Nigeria also don't believe in you as a person? Am I not here? These my friends, don't they declare me wanted every week? You know, you would think I'm the biggest problem. I'm the biggest terrorist in Nigeria with the police. You know, maybe by the time I leave this place, they would have declared me wanted based on what I'm saying. But that's not the problem. I'm also the one who had to fight for their pension. By the way, you have been removed from the pension system because I fought.
Wow.
Yes, they have been removed from the pension system because I fought them during the year. But they hate me with passion. But I love them with passion because I hate seeing policemen who retire and can't live a normal life, can't buy medicine, can't send their children to school. That is what we call leadership. Extending passion to people who hate you. Are you getting me? But to not waste too much of your time, right? As has been said, Nigerians always have prescribed solutions. State police, local government police. I support any kind of policing, even campus policing. My problem is that if you have a state police, who regulates it? Where do you train the policemen? And who has the oversight over a state police? Because already we have practically what we call state police everywhere. We just don't call them state police. Amotekun is state police in Ondo State. But the people who are working there don't have employment letters. And you want them to do magic. It's not going to be possible. So every police that you said being the former Nigeria police force that we're all running away from, all of them will still merge eventually because the conditions that made them to be terrible are also present. And without addressing those fundamentally, we cannot solve the problem. Now, I want to talk about one last thing, which is you must understand that any government that wants to destroy you will first target education. And that's what Nigeria has done over the years. That's why I don't want to hear from Obasanjo when he says he knows Nigeria. You are the one who started destroying Nigeria's education in 1970 something with Ali Moscow. When you came back, you finished the Nigerian education system, and Nigeria has now reached a point where Nigeria can't even afford to vote for educated people. You have to have a fake certificate to be president. You have to not have gone to a school to be governor. Everybody you hated or your parents told you you shouldn't associate with secondary school, primary school, they are now your governors, your senators. They are now your House of Rep members. That is why Nigeria is celebrating an American lawmaker, an American House of Rep member who came here, has been visiting Nigeria as if Nigeria is some banana republic. I'm sorry, we are a banana republic. In fact, we are a plantain republic. There's no question about it. And we are celebrating it. These guys are the equivalent of your House of Rep members. But ask yourself, what is your Senate doing? Nothing. What is your House of Rep doing? Nothing. What is your president doing? Nothing. Apart from, of course, saving his younger brother in Benin Republic. And whatever we do to help him, as long as there's bad governor, nobody can help Talon. Just as nobody can help his elder brother here, Bola Tinubu. Because when the people are ready, all this nonsense will be over. But let me tell you, until Nigeria gets this right, the rest of Africa cannot get it right. Because they look forward to us, they look up to us, and they're expecting that if we get it right, we'll be an inspiration to the rest of Africa. I want to say one last thing.
Dr. Shore,
before I go.
please round up.
Yes, my lord. You see, they're talking about lawyers
Can I call him doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
They're talking about lawyers just now, that lawyers are aiding and abetting crime. You must understand that legal profession is only a profession that allows a person to be an accomplice to a crime legally. The lawyer is the person you will tell that you killed somebody and will go and defend you and tell the judge you never did it. So don't be surprised at what lawyers do. What lawyers do is define by what they call the cab rank rule. A lawyer is entitled to defend anybody, no matter how morally abhorrent their crime is. So please leave lawyers alone and let the police, if they find them culpable, handle them. Thank you very much for coming and for inviting me.
I don't know why the two of you are giving us so much space. So, can you move into this? Please move close to us. Thank you. He spoke with passion. I think we all know what the problem is. Where is the will to deal with the problem? I think that really is the issue. Any of us here can reel off what Nigeria's problem is, but are we willing to face it? A lot of us believe, well, let me not stop the system. Or I never know. It can be my brother that we get there tomorrow. If I change the system now, I go take chop my own. But we always have to think of the greater good and not just about each of us. There's nobody here that is not supplying electricity to his household. There's nobody here that is not digging well. Or what do they call the other one? Borehole. It's amazing. Anyway, any questions for any of the, okay. So I think we should be able to take about what? 6 questions? 6. Okay, so we have yourself. We already have enough men. Oh, I'm doing equal. That's a lady. Yourself, yes. So that's 3 men. Okay, yourself. You're not a lady, sir. At least not yet. Okay, yes. And my brother here beside. So please, did you note the people? Okay, can we start from the front, please?
Sorry. My name is...
Sorry, before you start, what I would like is for everybody to ask their questions and then the answers will be given.
My name is Evans Emekaduru. I belong to the Tiger Bar. I have listened to all the panelists in this discourse, and I noticed something that is central to this particular gathering, and that is that there is a center of discussion that everybody deliberately, intentionally, or by neglect is refusing to address, and that is that it's like the Fulani has identified. My question now goes to Shore. Please, the president of Nigeria is a Yoruba man. Before he became president, he was a governor of Lagos State. And when he was governor, I remember reading his articles on physical federalism. He was constantly writing on physical federalism. But it's amazing and extremely disturbing that the moment he became president, it's like a cabal is holding him hostage. My question now is this: what can we do to bring the Fulani man to the table so that we can discuss and move forward? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My question is...
Name, please.
Oh, sorry. My name is Mrs. Jigo, St. Petersburg Jigo. So my question is in respect of the recent intervention, in the Benin Republic. Now, seeing that military capability and prompt intervention, what is Nigeria, or what are Nigerians, doing about that to hold this present administration accountable, for their negligence over our own insecurity? I really would want that question not just to be answered, but the right answer being given, implemented, because we cannot continue like this. We can't. My lady, what did you say? I'm a friend of the Tiger Bar. So, when I saw that on YouTube, I thought it was one of the Nigerian kids. I didn't believe it. I said, no. They're just joking again. You mean we have fighter jets? I didn't know that we did. So please, sir, what is going on? We want some answers. Why is the government not using, even if it's just that one plane, that jet, to snuff out these people? No, what are they doing about it? No, really. If you're not pained, in fact, I'm confused. So what do we do? What is the next step? What is the go-to plan? Please, I want a real answer here. Please. Thank you.
My Lord, the chairman of our branch, I recognize every other person, the panelists, and all of us here. My Lord said, oh, okay. I am Kamaruddin Olanrewaju Adebayo. Adebayo is my surname. And I'm a member of the Ikeja branch. I work with Ministry of Justice, Lagos State Office of the Public Defender, although I'll be retiring next month. Now, my Lord said, often what we see with our eyes are not the truth. And she urged us to look beyond the presentation. My Lord, I'm sorry if I did not quote you well, but at least I'm sure I paraphrased. Yes. Now, the problem of this country is deeper than, I don't know if the keynote speaker has left. Oh, fantastic. The problem of this country, because I'm addressing my comment and question to him, the problem of this country is often deeper. It's like a big elephant, and we just pick it from one perspective most of the time. Now, imagine this. If the president of Nigeria brings one notable politician forward today that, oh, this is the man, or let me even start from the example given here. Buhari is the sponsor of terrorists. Now, if we are to work on that information, the people of Buhari, his villagers, and everyone, his loyalists, will get up and say, no, it's political persecution. Then, just like we've heard in the case of our brother and friend Nnamdi Kanu, let us look for political solution. And yet we're all saying we need justice. Just like everyone has said, now the issue of secularism. I was one of those who answered the keynote speaker that Nigeria is not necessarily just because of Sharia. Now, are we a secular state when we sponsor people on what should be their personal state? When the Marriage Act and the Matrimonial Courts Act edge over and above all other forms of marriages. As lawyers, may I refer us to Section 69 and Section 114 subsections that I've just referred to, say that the Matrimonial Causes Act would not apply to Muslims and traditional marriage. And yes, traditional marriages. I'm asking the question. Please, you're even distracting me. Now, I'm rounding off, please. But if you distract me, I'm thinking from my head. I didn't write notes. Now, those two sections say that Matrimonial Causes Act would not refer to Islamic marriages and traditional marriages. Already, that is a ground for discrimination by an act of the National Assembly, and it should not be so. Now, but despite that, I once raised the objection before one of our judges that in this marriage that we're dealing with in court, they went for Nikai and then they went to registry. That is against what the act says. So you see, when we talk about secularism, just to round off, I have asked the question, are we truly a secular? The keynote speaker talked about Sharia law. The history of Sharia law we all know. What about the history of equity and common law originate from what actually used to be known as canon law? Then what about the similarities? What do you have in the Bible? That he who has not sinned should cast the first stone, in the story of the adulterous woman who said that it was Jesus Christ. These things are much deeper than we are often approaching them. We should all come together rather than labeling one another. In fact, I almost felt endangered as a Muslim sitting in this gathering. Rather than labeling one another and seeming to be attacking one another, I think we should be objective and sit down and look at all these problems and look for solutions towards them founded on sincerity and honesty. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, my lord. My name is Lillian O. Ugbebo. I am a member of the Human Rights Committee and a member of MBA branch, Tiger branch, Ikeja. My question goes to the Honorable DCP Fakeye. Now in Nigeria, if you have any insurgents or any safety problem, safety is not only limited to insurgency that has to do with Fulani bandits. Sometimes even in your homes, you are not safe. Like last 2 years, my house was invaded 3 times by armed robbers. And when we go to this police station, they will tell us to bring money for them to be able to allow us to document what has happened, to take our statement. We also now provide logistics for the police to be able to come down to our house. We also give them money to be able to get bullets. You know, I've been robbed. Like the goods they took away from because we have shops in front of my house was more than 8 million. Like gas, empty cylinders that were imported from China. They scattered away with everything. Police could not even recover any. And eventually, when they were able to recover 16 pieces of some of those gases, they didn't even tell us. We heard from our neighbors. The neighbor said, she said she doesn't want us to know that they kept some in her house. Then you not even investigate her. Rather, you are expecting us to give you money. Is it that the government does not provide provision for you people to be able to prosecute criminals? Because at the end of the day, people will have to end up spending more money. So if we had to come to the police station when I'm already robbed, I'm spending more money. So if anything happens to me, I won't go to the police station because I will end up spending more money. We need to actually just speak these things and actually implement them. The Nigerian government has to provide more, and the police has to use the funds given to them to prosecute matters, not making complainants to use their money. So my question is that, are there no provisions for us to be able to prosecute matters without me spending my money as a Nigerian? That's my question.
With due respect, ma, and all protocols observed, I am Rotimi Taiwo, a member of this branch. My question goes to the AIG, sir. Sir, constitutionally, the police is saddled with the responsibility of safety within the confine of Nigeria. Now, we run to you where you're seated. You compound our problems. Now, I want to ask her, you are from, as you said, from zone 2. Zone 2, with due respect to my colleagues here, we know what goes on in zone 2. We go there, all our problem. If you don't have a solution to our problem, let us know. Because you cannot hold yourself out. You cannot say you have the power to do it, and you say we should come to you, and we come to you, you compound the problem, and we ended up being worse from where we're coming from. Sir, again, sir, is it that the police does not have what it takes, or there's a power somewhere that is more than your own power given to you by the Constitution, that you cannot discharge your responsibilities? Let us know. Then we know where to go from here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, my lord. My name is Innocent Chigozie Okata. I'm a member of this branch. And my lord, my question goes to the AIG representative. One is that it is said that the primary responsibility of the government is security of life and property. And it's also said that security is everyone's business. But to me, I think in Nigeria particularly, security is personal. It's personal. And that point is actually buttressed by what the police has told us this morning by saying that we should protect ourselves. And it's not just coming for the first time. They've said this severally. Even the DSS director has said this on national TV, and so many high-ranked officers have in several occasions told us this. But the truth about it is that in protecting ourselves, we are supposed to be equipped with the commensurate weapon to those who are coming to attack us. But these people saying that we should protect ourselves have also blocked our access to weapons to protect ourselves. Therefore, leaving us vulnerable to those who attack us.
From the small law that I know, your right to dignity covers your right to safety and security. If you have a right to dignity of human person, then you have a right, even in a time of war, your dignity must be protected. So the blatant just going into somewhere and picking, and it's because, again, maybe because I'm a lawyer first, we need to start doing this public interest litigation. People are being killed, and even lawyers are not doing anything. It's like, it's okay, they can be killed. You have the power to do public interest civil litigation and demand damages from those that failed to protect you in the first place. I don't know. I'm a judge, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Judicial autonomy. Somebody said, who pays the piper? Because the tune. I think the peculiarity, if I want to go historically, a lot of, before this dispensation of political, that we now have this presidency, we've had a lot of military interventions. And if you look at it, if you look at how the military operates, the governor, the military governor or military president takes over the role of the governor or president and the lawmaker. The judiciary is always, whether as whatever, we are there, So they have subsumed the role of the judiciary under the executive and the legislative, which was the Almighty at the time. By the time they gave us the Constitution, it was already entrenched. So by the legislative comes, they're starting on a clean slate. The executive comes, they're starting on a clean slate. The judiciary has always been under both, and we just remain. There's no change. Yes, it's constitutionally there, but if the person who ought to enforce it doesn't enforce it, and don't forget, we're not supposed to talk. We're not supposed to complain. Who should do that for us? The bar. And finally, we're talking about state policing. I think it depends on the system that's put in place, but there's no system that is not subject to be abused. The Nigeria police force itself is being abused, whether by the federal, whether by state, even whether by local government. Even individuals abuse the Nigeria police force. That's why an individual will say, my lawyer is not working for me if he hasn't written a petition against somebody that owes me money to the police. And then the police crafts it in the person stole the money. So it is the political will of each of us to do that which is right. We can put these systems in place instantly. You think the UK don't have corruption issues, but they have more people with the political will, or the, just the will, sure that when something happens, whoever did it is held accountable. Accountability is what I think that is lacking. So I'm going to give the microphone to the key speaker to round up for us for today.
Permit me to man the pulpit. Yeah, our day has been well spent. My thanks goes to the moderator and all the panelists that have done justice to this topic. I'm not happy that my friend Showore has left, but I will catch him up later. But I must specifically mention Dr. Kuti. His academic sagacity and depth is very, please acknowledge him, please. He actually did justice to the issue of the historical nature, the pastoralist nature of the Fulanis. We can go as far back as Mansa Musa, the Mali, the Songhai Empire. We can go as far as we can. And I really love his approach that we should be at least, more aligned to try to measure, hatred for good. I was in Israel for 4 years. I was the attaché to Israel, and there's a people that they call the Bedouin. I'm sure you know the Bedouin. They're just like the Fulanis. They're the same. They moved from Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, up to Turkey. They don't have boundary. They don't have countries. And it became a major national security problem for Israel. Because they moved from Iraq through Jordan, just walk across the Israeli desert, the Negev desert, and move across to Lebanon and Syria. And there's nothing Israeli has not done. They put booby traps, mines, they will use the animal to explode the booby. They are just nomadic by nature. But I went for my advanced course in 2008, 2009. And they were able to leverage on that problem. And that problem in Israel does not exist. All of us are educated.